Let's talk looper pedals. Loopers are one of my favorite effects. I think that every guitar should have one on their pedal board. They're just incredibly handy for practicing, for arranging, for writing, for recording, a whole slew of things, and it can be for any genre. But I'm going to show you 4 tips and tricks that I've learned. Tip number 1. So my first tip is to record a seamless loop that we can kind of have an ambient tone going underneath, like a wash underneath the whole song. So normally when we record a loop, we just play what we want to play and then hit record. And then when we want it to loop back, we hit record. But for this type of tone, we get a kind of an ugly cut when the loop starts and stops. So to get rid of that, let me just delete this loop. We'll actually record an empty loop. I find that I don't like to time it purposefully, so that we get a little bit more of a random syncopation that happens in the background. So I'm just going to play things in E major because that's the key this song is going to be in. Because we've got an empty loop there, when we record, it just seamlessly loops over where that was. And we can add to this a little bit if we want to. And you might think, but we have that chord going, there's even some implied melody there, a little. But it still works out pretty nicely if we play some chords then, so. Because I forgot to hit record in my DAW. Dope. Tip number 2. If you're playing an electric guitar through these loopers, try finding a video on your phone or a song, play that up next to these pickups. I recommend you guys try this out. I was skeptical myself. I don't remember where I saw this first, but I was like, I feel like my guitars are decently shielded. That's not going to actually pick up the noise that I want. But I tried it out and it actually works pretty well. So let's go ahead and try this. And it doesn't just have to be drum loops either. YouTube's basically an endless sample library. So let me search for drone in E major. We just have this nice cello drone in E major for 6 minutes for practice, which sounds lovely. Let's go ahead and play this through. Beautiful pedals. Tip number 3. So this is a tip for stereo loopers. All of them that I've tried handle each channel independently, and so that means you can plug in one instrument to the left channel, for example, in this one, and a different instrument into the right channel, and then each output you could put into a different amp. We'll give it a shot. You know I gotta have some pedals, so it's going through here. Tip number 4. My last tip is to just know the features of your pedal. A lot of pedals are pretty complicated these days. The switches might do different things if you hold them or double tap. They try to pack in a lot of features into a pretty small package. So I've got the Jazzman Solo here, but I've essentially wired it so this switch is what this typical press does, and then this does what one of the external foot switch jacks would have done. So this starts your loop, this will stop it, this will undo it if you hold down, this will erase the loop if you hold it down, and there's also built-in metronomes. You can save things, whole lot of things going on that you might not notice just at a glance. And with the 720, it's got a lot of similar features. There are undo features, redo features that aren't really labeled here. It's also got reverse and half speed functions that the Jazzman doesn't have, and it's also a stereo looper, so it's got stereo ins and outs. You can fade out the loops with this one and do some other display options. But more than meets the eye with some of these, know your features. So let's put this to the test. We'll see if I can make a loop using all 4 of these tips that I've given you. What do you say? So I got both my loopers set up. The Jazzman is plugged into, or the guitar is plugged into the Jazzman, so that I can do my seamless loop first through that, and then both are going through the 720. Stereo out. Let's try this all together. So I hope you enjoy my 4 tips. Kind of a bonus additional tip is to just practice with loopers. Like anything else with guitar, just the more you do it, the more comfortable you are, the better you'll be at it. So a lot of that has to do with loopers is the button presses to get the timing right, to have your loop start and stop when you're intending. Each pedal acts a little bit differently. Each switch, depending on what type it has, will have a little bit different timing. So the more you use it, the more comfortable you get, the more accurate you'll be, the better your loops will be. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'm uploading weekly. And let me know if you try out any of these tips or tricks. I'm curious to see how it goes for you. And also let me know if there's any tips or tricks you have that you want to share with me. I'd love to try them out. I love looping. Whoa. Looping.